Dear Dharma friends, all practitioners, practicing patriot dance is very simple. Just asking questions and raising doubts. For new practitioner or old practitioners, it's the same, asking questions and raising doubt. Nothing else is special. That's why we said that practicing patriot dance and no secrets, only rooted your practicing in the circle of birth and death. So no matter old or young, male or female, clever persons or not, when you understand the practice, you can do the practice. For example, it's not the mind, it's not the Buddha, it's not anything. What is it? And just ask the questions slowly, freely, and continuously. So the focus in practicing the patriot sense is the doubt. When you have a proper doubt, that is your practice. When you have the improper doubt, the curiosity doubt, then it's not the practice of patriot sense, or you going on a wrong path. So because people, new practitioner, old practitioners, they still having the habit, the ignorance, the discriminations when they doing practicing, those interferes with their practicing. When we practice on the right path, the belief in our Buddha nature will be consolidated. So for the sage or the Buddha, patriot, when they see uh, the birth, they realize that the death is not real. When they see the old age, they knew that the newborn is not real. When they saw the cause, they knew that the effect is not real. However, for the mundane human beings, they always thought everything's real. This is why they said that the mundane human beings is afraid of the effects, but the bodhisattva, they're afraid of the cause. So when you have a cause, you're going to have an effect. When you still see the cause is real, then the effect's gonna be real too. Because you attach yourself to this body and thought that is real. That's why you afraid of the death, because you thought that is real too. So the attachment to the body, the birth and the death becomes the suffering, the misery that people had in this life. It's just like a cage that put us inside and make us misery. So when you're doing a practice, you trade in everything for the liberations of this own mind. The more you believe in the practice, the more you do in the practice, the more you believe in your own Buddha nature. They proportional to each other. So when we do in the practice, the doubt is like a saber that will cut all of those sufferings, misery, ignorance that we had for many lives. So when we get enlightenment, everything disappears. So there's a poem that in the Buddha Sutra, the Buddha had gave an example that like in the ore, the gold ore, the gold is already there. It just mixed with all those sediments, all those others metal materials. You need to purify the ore in order to get the real gold. So all these words in the Dharma talk is to encourage us to do the practice and giving you some of the Buddha words or the patriarch words to believe more, to encourage you to believe more in the practice. And the more you practice, the more understanding of the real meanings behind those words and explanations. So if you have any questions or want to share your own experience in practice, go ahead and speak up. Saphi, go ahead and speak up.
Nam mô Bổn sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Con kính bạch trên thầy cùng thiền đường đại chúng. Thì con kính bạch thầy cho
I'd like to share
chia sẻ
my
về
experience
con chia sẻ về
in living
cuộc sống
in a monastery the last few years. I like to. I'm very thankful for you when I'm living in this monastery, and I can realize my chance to familiar with my ignorance, my habits. The more I'm practicing, the more I realize that how we can really destroy our habits. So in a monastery, sometimes I feel like I'm facing with a lot of challenges and more challenges than usual. So when I realize those challenges are the reminder for me to go back to my practice, I really thankful for you and all the Dharma friends to remind me to go back to the practice. So nowadays, as a practitioners in the monastery, or the nun and the monk, they have to follow the precepts and always keep the precepts as a teacher. As you said, no matter how poor life we live in, we still follow the precepts, or always doing the right things when we follow the precepts. So living in this monastery with my sister nun, we always familiar with each other's challenges. And when we have any of those challenges, we always come back to the practice. We always exchange our experience in practicing with each other. And when we argued about the knowledge in our discussions, and we understand right away, we realize right away, and we keep quiet and come back to our practicing. And when we're practicing, we forgot what was the challenges that we had earlier, and we don't criticize each other, but we come back to our practice. So the practicing make us realize that nothing that there's no right or wrong, and we not keeping any of those ideas, but come back to the practice. And that is a way of we get rid of the habits. And when we living in the lives, living lives in the monastery with all my sister nuns or Dharma friends, I realized that we only put other people's ahead. We don't think that we are right in any situations. And when we realize that, we feel the life in a monastery is so simple, and we can deal with everything easier. It's not like when we first living in the temple, the life was so difficult. And because of the conditions that we have in this temples, and because of your teaching, your helping, I really realized my own habits, my own ego, and my own mistake. And when we don't know our own mistake, then we won't be able to fix it. So the practice helping us to look back to my own life, my own thinkings, and always going back to the practice when we face any challenges. And the last trip that we went to the retreat in a mountain, for me, I realized a really, really happiness, real happiness, but I feel really, really happy that Miss Cẩm and Miss Hill, they are working together and helping the retreats to make the successful retreat. And when I think about their that they working together without any arguments like before, I was cheering because of that. And when I realized that, I feel like the life living in our monastery, it's make me really, really happy, and I'm cheering because of that. And I saw that they working together to help our Dharma friends. So today is pháp tuệ, pháp tuệ birthday, and birthday. I wish that she will continue to practice and keep on going in our path. I appreciate everybody listening to me. So always go back to the practice. Even when you see any success in our practice, we use that as a reminder to go back to our practice. Don't attach yourself to those the lives in the temple. We are not hiding from any situations or any circumstances. We always use all the challenges to remind us to go back to our practice. Before, when you living outside, and we always prepare for everything and always put your mind outside of the practice and worry about things. But when you get into our practice in the temple, you pay attention more on the practice, and we don't pay attention to other people's mistake anymore, but we always know our own mistake. That is, we missing or we forget about our practicing. So when you try to go after other people's mistake and try to help them with their own mistake, which means you forgot about your practice. So all those successful that we have, all those success that we have in practicing just motivate us to go back to practice even more. Like what Zen Master said, that come back to the practice, always do the practice. When you focus yourself on the Buddha nature, that is the effects or the destination that we walk forward when we're doing the practice correctly. However, if we still attach to all those success when we achieve during the practice, that can be a problem with our practice too. So when we face with the most suffering challenge in our life, and we realize that the practice is so valuable, and use that as a reminder to go back to the practice. That is the right way of doing the practice in our patriarch Zen. So when we realize that we have the habits, we have the ignorance, we need to go back to the practice so we can liberate ourselves from all of those and see our own Buddha nature. It's just like Duy Zen Master said that when you buy a lottery, you always want to win the maximal prize. It's not only those small prizes that we when we buy a lottery. So when we're doing a practice, realize the ignorance, realize your sufferings, realize all the success. When you can use that to go back to your practicing until you see your own Buddha nature, that is the goal, and that is the winning ultimate life prize of the lottery. So when you having the practice and you experience something in your practice, or you feel like you achieve something and you attach yourself to them and you're not sharing your problem with your master, that can be a problem in your practice. That can lead you go on a wrong path. So you have to be careful. And when you go on the right way, you feel respect. You pay respect for our Buddha, for our master, for our patriarchs, because they have taught this method to us. So when you share your experience, you share your problem, and the master can, based on that, to help you to detach yourself from all those problems and remind you to go back to your practice. So when we doing a practice, when we facing any challenges, and the precepts, the practicing will help us to go on with our practice on the right path. So like an example in Lotus Sutra, when we digging for the water to drink, digging a well to find water to drink, you don't wait until you thirsty to dig the well, but you must dig the well ahead. So when you're thirsty, you have water to drink. So when we're doing a practice, we rely on the monastery, we rely on our Dharma friends, we rely on the master, just as a reminder to help us to go back to the right practice. So when we practicing this method, we rely on the three jewels of Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, to help us to go on the right path. So we can go on the right path. We don't go on the wrong path when practicing. So we believe that our Buddha's words, or the patriarch words, or our Sangha's words are not tricking us, but they only use words and explanation to encourage us to go back to the practice so we can fix our own problem. When we vow to practice the right Dharma, we always practice the right Dharma and go on the right path. We don't steer ourselves to another path that can lead you to the wrong path. So when we still attach ourselves to the knowledge or the understanding, which means we going on a wrong path. But if you realize, or we realize that we made a mistake, just go back to the practice and share your experience, share your problems with all practitioners and masters. So you get a reminder to go back to see your own mistake and continue to practice. So when we practicing, we can face any challenges or any problem, then use them as a reminder to go back to the practice.